This is the Big Lap Chats podcast, where our mission is to help caravanners and campers plan their ultimate lap of Australia. Whether you're dreaming of hitting the road or already travelling, we provide all the information and tools you'll need to bring your dream to life. Tune in as our expert host Annette Jones chats with Australia's big lappers, caravanners and campers, sharing hints and tips for creating the best memories while travelling around Australia. Be sure to check out Annette's website, All Around Oz, Australia's leading site for planning a lap of Australia. But now, settle in and hit play while you're on the road and listen as Annette delivers today's episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Big Lap Chats, and today I have a different sort of guest. She has travelled a big lap around Australia, but now she's doing something completely different. I'm speaking with Deena from Committed to Collect. She's going to talk about collecting points and saving money as you travel around Australia. So welcome, Deena. Thank you for joining me today. I know you're busy.
Oh, no, it's great, Annette. And it's actually really quite lovely because in preparation for today's chat with you, I got out my Instagram last night of when we went around Australia, which was 2015. I did the big lap with my husband and my children at the time, who were 8 and 9. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to actually see where I was on the 19th of June, 2015, and I was at the McKinley races at the Walkabout Creek Hotel, famous obviously for the old TV, and it just brought back lots of wonderful memories. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Oh, no worries at all. That's an iconic place, isn't it? Even though it's not the real one, it's still a great pub to visit.
It was. It was a great event, and I remember they had fashions on the field, and my children wanted to enter. And so, of course, when you're travelling around in all that red dirt and coming out of the territory, you're like, what have I possibly got in this van that they could hold their own in a field of fashions? And we had some fun. It was great. It was a really good time.
It's a bit tricky, isn't it? I think I've got one dress that would pass as a good dress and a pair of shoes that would probably pass as well, but it's not the sort of thing that you need to concentrate on, is it, when you're travelling around Australia?
No, but I do remember we went for 8 months and it was my husband and my long service leave, and had the most wonderful time, and we still look back at it so fondly now, saying it was the best time of our lives. We all have houses now and bathrooms, multiple bathrooms, but we were in a little 17-foot Starcraft. The little lots absolutely loved it, and we were happier in that caravan than I often think we are in our bigger homes. But I do remember on the last night, actually, with all the clothes that I'd worn for 8 months consistently, just thinking, this isn't coming back to my house. I am done. And I remember just with the kids as well, just thinking, okay, all of that stuff is going in the bin. I've seen enough of wearing that jumper every third day for 8 months and starting afresh. But yeah, just wonderful experience.
That's good. I think I'm going to have a big burning ceremony when we go home, because I won't be able to donate them.
Well, it's very cathartic. But what I also do remember is I live in Queensland now, but we were living in Victoria at the time. And we were probably only about 3 hours away from home down on the peninsula, Mornington Peninsula. And my husband said, we can just go home tonight. And I said, no, we can't. I need another night in the caravan to actually say goodbye. And it was freezing cold. It was September, October. Melbourne was still cold. And we pulled into this god-awful caravan park in Hillsville. It was freezing cold. And he said, we could actually be home in our nice house. I said, I don't care. I need the night to say goodbye to this caravan and thank it for its wonderful gift.
That's cool. That's a great story. So what did you travel in? You said a Starcraft?
We did.
17-foot?
Yeah, we just had a 17-foot Starcraft, and we bought it for the journey. And we also bought ourselves just a Prado, which I actually still have and has not skipped a beat, and I absolutely love that car. And anyone who is travelling will know that once you get further up north, there's just Toyotas absolutely everywhere. It's done a very good job for us over those years. We had the Starcraft, and we always had a dream to travel around Australia. So we took the kids out of school. The school, 2015 was amazing back then. They said, yep, take the kids. And we also didn't want to be, when we talk about homeschooling, we didn't want to homeschool the kids. We were having our long service. I wasn't taking time off from my job after 15 years to now become a school teacher, and my husband wasn't either. But we were committed to the kids reading and the kids learning and all of those amazing things that all families do and all travellers do, and getting out into the parks and the nature and learning about Joseph Banks and Captain Cook and all these amazing things as you go around Australia, and the whale sharks and Exmouth. And so we were very committed to that, and our kids are avid readers, and our daughter today still absolutely loves reading. But I certainly was not going to be a school teacher for 8 months. I was adamant about that. I was just ready to have a break from my job and enjoy my family time. And we had the wonderful A4 notebook, and every day at the end of the day they wrote in that, and we still have that now, and I love looking at it and just reading about all the amazing things that we did.
Wow, what great memories, hey?
Yeah, definitely.
So how old were your children and how many children?
Yeah, so 2, and they were 8 and 9, and I loved that age because they were old enough to, and I'm sure any families listening will agree, or people listening who want to get on the road, it was a great time for us because they were old enough to go to the toilet block themselves, to be able to go and shower themselves. We didn't have to be with them 100% of the time. And obviously, we're always very aware of safety, but they were old enough to be able to get out and meet friends and go down to the park. And one of the biggest lessons I think we learned is we'd pull up in the Caravan park and we'd have all the bikes on the back, the 4 of us, 4 bikes. And we learned pretty quick to have those bikes actually just in the corridor of the Caravan when we were traveling, because when we pulled up, get the kids on the bikes and out of there and get rid of some of that energy. And you know what, it's clockwork after you've done it 3 or 4 times. Husband and I, you've got that set up and that awning out and everything set up in 10 minutes. But you've got kids at you and they're hungry and they want something, they want to do something. So we learnt pretty quickly, we don't care. The bike can just, one of the bikes can lay on the bed, the other one can be in the middle of the Caravan. Kids are happy. They absolutely loved it. And we started off in Melbourne and headed across to Robe, and then headed up obviously through WA, and just realised how big WA was. Right up the top to Cape Leveque, Beagle Bay, when the road was unsealed, which was wonderful. We'd done a lot of internal Australia before, so we didn't really do that. We just hugged the coast and then come back down the Queensland coast and then back home, and just had the most wonderful experience of our lives. And so many people say to you, you're so lucky or you're fortunate that you did it. And I said, no, we weren't. We made a conscious decision to do that trip, and it's hard work. I mean, those into a podcast the other day where the dad was saying it's hard work, and it is for that first month, that first 3 weeks. You're all living on top of one another. You don't have a lot of privacy. You're learning to all just be in this tin, this can of just living 24 hours and then in your car. But once I think you find your mojo and your rhythm in that, then it just actually becomes an amazing experience. But as I said, most wonderful time of our lives. And we definitely will be grey nomads. I'm actually grey now, but we will definitely be the grey nomads when we are fully retired. We have another lap or 2 in us without fail. So we can't wait to do that a little bit further down the track.
That's awesome. And did you find that your kids just slip straight back into school with no problems?
Oh my gosh.
I think that's a concern for a lot of parents.
Yeah, I agree. And look, because we were committed to the learning in terms of the reading and the writing, to be honest, and when you're 8 and 9 years old, as long as you have those skills, and of course you're going to let's count the red cars that go past and all of those types of things that you do along the way, then they slip back in, and I don't even know what the grades were back then. They probably got Bs. They did not miss out. But when they were talking about water animals, they could go, oh, we saw the crocodiles. And when they're talking about different things, like they were all over it. And sadly, what happens actually, I think, for kids now, the geography of Australia and actually the world isn't that great. But when you've lived it and you've gone on those roads, they just now know where things are, and the distance of Australia as well.
Yeah. It's like seeing a movie. I'm thinking of the Aussie movie The Dry, and my partner Kev was actually born in Menyup, and that one of the pubs is in there. Yeah. So when you get there, and for me to go and see that, or you see something in a movie, you're thinking, oh, wow, we've been there. It's really great. You can associate.
I agree. And we had there's a couple of bucket list items that we want to do, and one of them was to see Red Dog. And we desperately wanted to see Red Dog. But of course, and the listeners will know exactly what I'm talking about now, but we got up to the highway and it ended up being 500 kilometres out of our way to see Red Dog. We decided we weren't going that way. We were going right instead of going left. And I said to Tim, we have to go and see Red Dog. So we unhitched the Caravan for the day, I still remember. And I think we did a 700-kilometre round trip for the day. We did that just at the Prado for the day because we had to tick that Red Dog off our list. We had looked and watched that film for so many years and had said to the kids in the build-up, we're going to go see Red Dog. We're going to see the statue. We're going to go and see all that. And I think sometimes you just got to do that. You've just got to go, what's on those bucket list items, and we've got to tick them no matter what. And you've got the time. Most of us, it might have meant we had to do another couple of 100 kilometres that week somewhere else, but it's great to be able to have the time.
Yeah, agree. So what do you think one of the things that most lappers overlook that could make or break their entire journey?
I think probably at the start when we were doing our lap, so 2015, probably started planning at about 2014. So many people, or actually back then there wasn't probably a ton of people that had done it. I really think that popularity of the lap has in the last 10 or 12 years has certainly exploded more. But I remember speaking with a tradie friend who had done it a year or two earlier, and he come around one day with all his books and his maps, and we got all excited and looked at it. And then once we got going, because people say, what are the must-do places? What must we go? And I think the biggest advice I can give there is find your own tracks and your own journey, because while there's the great bucket list items that you'll want, you'll just find amazing places along the way. Once you commit to, okay, we're going to go for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, it will all just happen for you as you get on the road. Because sometimes they might have this amazing place. Like I think he mentioned this treaty mentioned Cervantes. You've got to go to Cervantes. It's amazing. And we loved it. And I got there and I went, oh, is this sort of it? And he raved about it. One place I did love though, my gosh, and I do find this is often overlooked, is
Hey, it's Annette Jones from Big Lap Chats here. Just interrupting this episode to let you know if you want to get the answer to this part of the question, then you'll need to join up to my membership where you can hear the extended version. The URL to go to do that is blccrew.allaroundoz.com.au. You can also find a link in the show notes over at allaroundoz.com.au/podcast. Otherwise, let's get back to our regular podcast.
it probably would have been one of those things if someone hadn't told us about that, we just would have seen the sign and kept going. But I'm so glad that we detoured off and went there for the day. It was wonderful.
That sounds great. If you could only give one piece of advice to someone planning their first lap of Australia, what would it be?
I would just suggest don't get caught up in you need all of these things to go. You need to spend a fortune. You need to do all this stuff. We didn't. We bought the van, yes. We decided to buy the van, which we actually sold a week after we got home for even more money than what we'd purchased it for, ready for the next family to do their amazing trip. So that was great. I think I went out to IKEA and spent $300 on IKEA foldable stuff, easy collapsible things that was going to work. But we didn't get caught up in, actually, I'll give you one thing, we didn't put a bull bar on the car. Because I said to Tim, reality is we're not going to be driving at night. Most people, when they get up, they're on the road at 8 or 9 of the morning, they're finishing up at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. We're missing that dawn and dusk of danger. And those times actually when we did travel a bit later, it was like, hey, we're all on the lookout for these kangaroos. But we didn't have all those additional expenses where we thought we must do that and this to just get going, because it just becomes this additional cost. And reality is for most people, if you're not working, you're not having wages for 6 or 8 or 12 months or part wages like us when we did long service. So I think just back yourself, get on the road and just find what you need when you're on the road. Don't get too caught up in it perfect. So, the little term MVP, minimum viable product, you got a car, you got a caravan, a tent, get on the road. That's all you need.
Yep, that's great. And what was your secret back then to finding the most breathtaking yet under the radar destinations around Australia?
I think and it's the same of our mantra now when we travel, and we probably travel more on planes now. I just go traveling. We never stay in cities. We don't like cities now. We'll fly in and we'll absolutely get out. So I think when we got to Perth, we stayed in Fremantle, which was beautiful for 2 nights, and then got out of there. I don't even think we went into the township of Perth. And I've been to Perth before, but we just found beautiful places, a mix of the wiki camps that everyone still talks about, which is fantastic, doing a mix of caravan parks. At the end of the day, our kids wanted to socialise. We did the big fours and the jumping pillows. We also did the free camps. We would just allow ourselves the opportunity that if we love somewhere to explore that little bit more. So I think you've just sometimes got to get off the beaten track a little bit, find another family, find someone that you're enjoying spending time with, and just be open to different ideas. That's what we absolutely loved. And we did Carangini, we did all these amazing national parks. And one place that we did miss that we absolutely had or have since gone back, and I'll talk about that with my business in a moment, is horizontal falls. So we desperately wanted to do horizontal falls, and we were doing that toss up between the whale sharks and horizontal falls. And when you've got a family of 4 or 5, they're $3,000 days. They're not just a $500 day. So we made the decision to do the whale sharks in Exmouth, which we absolutely loved. And we thought we're going to come back and do horizontal falls. And Tim and I actually went back last year and did horizontal falls, which was wonderful. And it was really nice to go back to Broome, because Broome, I think, is so underrated. And it's certainly not a hidden gem, but I think a lot of people probably from the southern states get to Broome, think, oh, we'll just book in for 3 or 4 nights. And you get there and say, give me 2 weeks at this place. It's just spectacular. It's Groundhog Day every day up there. Loved it.
Nice. And do you have a favourite free camp?
Look, it's probably going back a little bit now, but I do remember there was a wonderful free camp near.
Hey, it's Annette Jones from Big Lap Chats here. Just interrupting this episode to let you know, if you want to get the answer to this part of the question, then you'll need to join up to my membership where you can hear the extended version. The URL to go to do that is blccrew.allaroundoz.com.au. You can also find a link in the show notes over at allaroundoz.com.au/podcast. Otherwise, let's get back to our regular podcast. Yeah, nice. Sounds fabulous. What's one tip that saved you bacon on the road that you could share?
It's been really good to go back and remember some of these things. And I think just another little funny story, I guess, but when you get up north, and probably happens south, but I think when you really get up north, everyone waves. Everyone waves. And I love that. It's just everyone's in Toyotas and everyone's waving. And I remember one day we took off and everyone's waving, but they're being extra friendly today. Everyone is waving. And this is a day we are hooking in. It might have even been a day after we did that 700 or 500 round trip for Red Dog. And I said to Tim, gosh, everyone's friendly today. And we had 700 clicks to do that day. We had a big day. And all of a sudden, Tim looks in the rear vision mirror or his side mirror and just went, oh my God. And we'd left the caravan door open. So everyone who'd been waving were trying to tell us to stop. So that caravan door is just flapping and flapping. We finally pull over. Your little caravan step, that had long gone. I think that was in the step, that was long gone. A bucket, that was long gone. Yes, just being a bit more aware of your surroundings and making sure that you, when people are trying to tell you something, you take notice. But we recovered and moved on. Yeah.
What are the 3 biggest money-saving hacks every lapper needs to know?
Money saving hacks. I think for me, I had a little diary in my passenger door. So Tim did 99% of the driving and the towing of the van, and that was great. I was happy for that. That's his happy place. And I had a little diary, and I used to write every expense that we had, every single little expense from day one. And that was like petrol and ice cream, tent pegs, absolutely everything. And it was really good to be able to look at back on that, but also just weekly and go, oh, that was a $1,500 week. Oh, that was a $1,200 week. Or we need to pull our heads in next week because we're budgeted for $1,400 and that was a $1,600 week. So I think because we just all now scan and swipe and everything's just so digital, it's very easy to actually lose the ability to understand what your true budget is and what you're spending. And I know most of us now have a cashless society and there's probably other ways to do it. But I do even remember having $1,000 cash just on me. And I used to have that. And when that finished, that was it. We then just ate whatever was left in the van for another day or two. Or if we had some money left over, we might go out for a family breakfast or go and buy milkshakes. I did buy a coffee pod machine to take because I worked out, obviously, I like a coffee a day. So cut it to $8 or $10 now, probably a day on coffees is $200 a month. That's a lot of money. And just a little, I remember like a NutriBullets milkshake thing for the kids. So I guess I tried to do that, but I was very aware of cost. And I've always been a savvy shopper all my life, very conscious of that and wanting to make things go further. And I was very clear on that with the caravan as well. I wanted to make us have a good time, be able to enjoy all those great, amazing activities around Australia. So I didn't want to waste money along the way.
Well, that is a perfect segue into what we're going to discuss next, and that is what you do now for a business, and that is helping people collect loyalty points for their loyalty programs. And how can travellers and lappers utilise those as they're travelling around Australia?
Yeah. And when I took my long service leave after travelling around Australia, I have been in the travel industry for 30 years of my life. So it's been my career. So lots of times on planes on top of my time in the caravan. And when I semi-retired from that role or left that role last year, I wanted to be able to still be able to travel and started a business committed to collect. And so I guess I'm a points pro, a loyalty expert. And what I did is realize pretty quickly is that most people in Australia have been scanning a Flybuys or everyday rewards card, but not truly realizing the power of points. And I thought it was a great opportunity to talk to you and about ways that some of your travellers can actually be redeeming points, or not redeeming, so collecting points on the road. So they can redeem them down the track for flights, or if you've got grandparents travelling, they can redeem them for presents for their grandkids. It's not all about flying and points, and I think a lot of people forget about that. So a great simple one is fuel. So not all fuel stations are created equal. So a really great example is when we have, I call them the big four. And so not the big four caravan parks, but the big four loyalty programs in Australia. So we've got Qantas, we've got Everyday Rewards, and we've got Velocity, and we've got Flybuys. And if you have a card and a membership to those four programs, you can be earning and saving great money and earning a ton of points. So BP's a really good example. So if you're a member of BP Me, so for anyone out there who hasn't joined up, go on. These are all free programs. Join up to BP Me, link it across to your Qantas, and every time you purchase anything in store at BP or you buy your fuel, you just need to scan your BP Me card, which is linked to your Qantas, link it and set it up, and you'll be getting points. A really simple way. But a fantastic opportunity to turbocharge those points, but also the savings, is that BP Me has a relationship with carsales.com. And I'm sure all travellers know who carsales.com is. And in fact, if you download the Carsales app and link it to your BP Me, you get 6 cents off a litre for fuel at BP service stations. So you're not even utilising carsales.com. You've just downloaded the app and connected across to BP Me. And when you go in, you scan your card and you get 6 cents off a litre, and you also get Qantas points. So that is a really simple, easy way. You're getting savings and you're getting points. So in my business I created, I call it Get Appy. You download a variety of apps, and I'm sure you'll share those in your show notes later. People can download those, and once you set everything up, it's a set and forget. So if I've set up my Qantas membership for free, I've set up my BP for free and my car sales, I don't have to do anything else. I just buy my petrol at BP, scan my card, look in my Qantas account 2 days later, and I've got points sitting in there. So they're just simple everyday things. Another great one is 7-Eleven. So I never really used to shop at 7-Eleven, but they have a great app called the 7-Eleven app, and it's called Fuel Lock. So you can go in and say, okay, I need diesel, and it will search a 30-kilometre radius of petrol stations that have diesel, and it'll lock in the cheapest diesel rate for 7 days. So when I pull into 7-Eleven, I might see diesel's $1.90 a litre, but on my fuel app, it's only $1.80 a litre. So I'm getting 10 cents off a litre because I've locked it in, and I scan my Velocity card because I know that 7-Eleven and Velocity are friends, and I get Velocity points.
Terrific.
Really simple ways. Fuels are really easy.
Are there any other fuel?
Yep.
Two more.
Oh, so
I'll be quiet.
They're my two faves. Another great one is Ampol. So when you are buying your groceries in Woolworths, if you spend more than $30 a week, you can get 4 cents off a litre for your petrol, and you can also then get points. And Shell Ready Express is linked to Flybuys. So I tried to rank them. So I rank BP and I rank 7-Eleven as my top two, because they directly transfer to Qantas and Velocity, so I get 1 for 1 point. When we have a third party of Flybuys and Everyday Rewards, our points get halved. So I'm only getting the amount of points, but I'm still getting points and I'm still getting savings.
Sure.
But there's a nice little one there for people because it's not just my business, and I try and educate people. It's not just about the dripping, that I call them the piddly little points. It's about turbocharging.
Yes.
So if I can get savings and I can get points, 6 cents off a litre at BP is pretty good, right? So it all helps.
Yes, indeed.
Fuel is a great one. Another one which I think people would really love is understanding when we go into destinations or we go to towns like Whale Shark's, great example. When I go into Exmouth, and I used to love going into those tourism centres and checking out and getting all the brochures, and the kids did, and getting them excited. I don't think I've gone into a tourism centre since I've actually stopped my lap, but we loved going into those. But Qantas and Velocity have what they call activities on their websites. So once you're a member and it's free to join those programs, you can actually go on and you can book most of those activities online. So to give you an example, with Velocity, they've teamed up with Aussies Experiences. And if I went online and booked a whale shark tour for, I checked this yesterday, for $500, for example, I get 3 points per dollar spent. That's actually 1,500 points for one person. Now, you only need 6,000 points in Australia for a domestic flight. That's what domestic flights start at. So when you start and do things, you're not spending any more money. You're just being a savvy and you're just educating yourself on the points gain. There's real great rewards there for everyone. You're just spending the same amount of money. You're just being a little bit smarter about it. Hervey Bay, love Hervey Bay. And I think that is your hometown, Annette. I did listen to
It is my hometown, yes.
We've been going to Hervey Bay for years and love it, and we go there every August to see the whales. And in fact, last we went up and did the Spirit and did the lovely cruise for the day. And I think it was $150. So I booked it on my Velocity on Aussies Experience, got myself, 450 points, my husband as well. So 900 points just for spending the $150 cruise we were going to be doing anyway. Exactly the same, nothing's any different. They automatically drip into my account. And then all of a sudden in my account, I've got 10,000, 20, 30, 40,000. So you might have people that get to Darwin and they need to fly back to Melbourne to visit their family for a weekend. They've actually started to get a points tally starting to happen. And I'm just pulling a couple of things here. There's 100 ways. There's a ton of ways.
Sure.
But why a lot of people, I think, haven't probably engaged with loyalty programs over the years for a couple of reasons. We've all scanned our cards for so long. We've been lucky if we've got a toaster. So we've disengaged with it. Or no one's actually shown us how to do it right. And when you do it right, just spending your normal money, but being smarter, points just drip in. You set everything up right, points just drip into your account. Would you like another idea?
Yeah, because I know you've got some retail stores to share with us as well.
Yeah, so some great ones that I thought are very applicable for everyone listening today is stores like Supercheap Auto, Bunnings, BCF. So when you go supermarket shopping, and Coles, Woolies, Big W are probably the main ones, do you ever go past those gift cards at the end of the aisle that we only ever buy for gifts for people? Well, we've got to change that. They are grow cards. They grow your points balance. So you might see a little sign up that says times 20 points. So I go in and I buy $100. I might need to buy some new car seat covers, which is actually what my husband did yesterday for his ute. They were $100. So I send him off to Woolies. There's a big sign up times 20 points. So he buys a $100 gift card for Supercheap Auto. He's getting 2,000 points. But we know when we convert supermarket programs to airline programs, they're half. So he's got himself 1,000 points. Off he goes to Supercheap, scans or pulls the gift card that he's purchased, the physical gift card through the FPOS terminal, gets his car seat covers. 1,000 points are sitting in his frequent flyer account today. He needed to spend that $100 at Supercheap Auto. He didn't spend any more money. He was just savvier and smarter on how he did it. BCF is another great one. Bunnings, all of them. But you only buy those cards when they're on bonus. And they come on a bonus cycle every week. So from a Wednesday to a Tuesday in supermarkets, they have different things on all the time. And then you start and have a look and you might think, okay, we've been on the road for 3 months with the kids. They've outgrown their clothes. We're heading via Perth. There's a Cotton On. Oh, Cotton On are on bonus times 20 points. Let's buy a $200 gift card. There's 2,000 points for us. Like it's simple, easy points everyday ways.
Yep. And without having to go out of your way, it's not taking you up any more time.
It isn't, Annette. And I think when you really understand the points business, a lot of things, and I'm not going to go into them on today's call, but if people are interested, they can look at my website and see the information I share on there, or follow me on socials as well. Committed to Collect on Instagram and Facebook. But when you actually become really savvy about it, a lot of it's just online. You can just grab your phone and do it all on your phone, and it's super simple and easy.
That's cool. So what's the sneaky treats at McDonald's?
Sneaky treats at McDonald's. Oh, that's always a good one. So as part of those gift cards that are on sale, there's a card there that's called a restaurant card. And most people shy away from that card because it says restaurant. And let's be honest, generally if you're traveling around Australia Caravan, you're not actually going to a ton of restaurants. If they actually just called it a food and beverage or a McDonald's card, we'd all buy it in droves. But in fact, when you purchase that card and you turn it digital, so it just sits in your wallet like all our credit cards and our debit cards do these days, you can just use that card through McDonald's. So, and I've tested it and it works.
Okay.
So they're just, once again, other really simple ways. You're going out for a coffee, you're going out for an acai bowl, you've said to the kids, we'll go out and grab a milkshake. When those cards are on bonus, grab one or two, follow the instructions, pop it into your phone, make sure you've scanned the right cards, you've got everything linked up, and they're just simple everyday ways to collect points. So I'm a turbocharging points expert. I collect points every day, every way. And my account sits at about 1 million points. And that is an awful lot because I'm an expert. I'm an absolute expert at it. But if you just did a few little things like your fuel, making sure when you're in the supermarkets, you're boosting or activating any of the offers. And I get it, as you get up north, they're more IGAs and smaller markets. You get into a town, like I remember getting into Tom Price and there was a Coles there and I thought, oh my, look at all this amazing produce. I was just absolutely blown away. So when you've got it all set up right and you know how to work it, you really don't need to be paying for simple domestic flights down the track. Or, as I said, if you're older and you're no longer traveling, just top up that points balance and you can redeem things for your grandkids for gifts. You don't always have to be flying.
I used to participate with a credit card in my former business that I had, and instead of actually sort of getting a gift and then paying the shipping, I just used to buy a gift card because then I could decide whatever it was that I wanted to buy. And I didn't have to pay for shipping either.
Yeah, and that's great. And I think one of the other myths I like to bust a little bit with loyalty programs is people have been educated that you really only collect volume of points when you're flying or if you have a points earning credit card. And I myth bust both of those. So really good example of that is I think last month my husband has a points earning credit card. I don't. And I think his points for the month on our expenses was something like he might have got 5,000 Qantas points and I earned 70,000 points just by being a savvy mum, buying things when they're on bonus points and truly understanding. So people think we don't have a credit card. You actually don't need one. You do not need a credit card to be a very successful points collector.
Yeah, cool. What do you think about the Amex? I've got several friends with Amex cards and they carry on about, I've got this because it gives me so many points and so forth.
And I think, Annette, look, any of the cards are great if you understand the monetary value with them. Like Amex, for example, might be $500 or $600 annual fee a year. Now, if you truly know how to maximise the points out of that card, then great, go for it. But you don't need one. And I think as well is when you truly understand how to collect points, credit cards are just a little side component of it. People tend to think it's the easy way or it's the only way. And I'm here to say because not most, that's a wrong word, but a lot of people struggle managing money. Economic times are tough. Cost of living is hard. So I'm never going to say to someone, credit cards are the best way to earn points. I'm actually, if anything, I'm anti-credit cards because I can say you don't need one. I can actually show you how to be a great points collector to benefit your whole family without actually needing a card. So another great example is there's gift cards on this week and they are on bonus offer for the theme parks. But you're doing the lap, you're going to end up back on the Gold Coast, you're going to do the theme parks. You could actually get 10,000 points just by buying the cards to pay for your theme parks, and there's actually a flight for you. So when you can actually truly understand the value of that, the Amex or your Visas, MasterCards, they're just something on the side. They're bonus if you've got, but you don't need them. And they're not a status symbol for me. I love that I get my points without a credit card.
Yeah, that's cool. Just on the horizontal falls, I'm just going to circle back to that. And you use points to do that.
Well done.
Did you do that through Experience Oz and Velocity, or is there some other way?
Yeah, so Annette, that's a really great question. Thank you for reminding me. So we had that goal to go back to horizontal falls. And it was actually my sister-in-law's 60th. And so booked a year out, because horizontal falls, for anyone who has done any research on that, is all about the amazing tide. And there's only a certain amount of all time of the year that those tides range from their 11 to 13 metres. Absolutely amazing. So we paid for the luxury houseboat for the night. So we did the seaplane out, and we did the houseboat for the night, which was just absolutely incredible. So she looked after all that because we booked as a group. But Tim and I flew from Brisbane to Perth, and then Perth up to Broome on Point. So that was a great example of us just tapping away. Those points were sitting in the kitty. And when the time come, one of my mantras I say is, when you remove the cost of airfares, holidays become a lot more affordable. So if we had to add another $3,000 or $4,000 in flights onto that trip, because the seaplane and the houseboat, it wasn't a cheap trip, but it was a bucket list item that we had identified we wanted to do, and we wanted to share that special experience with Tim's sister and some other friends. Points allowed us to do that, and that's the great thing. It opens up the world for people. If you can be bothered doing it and truly understanding it, there's amazing travel experiences to be had.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love it. Well, that's about it from me. Is there anything else that we can cover? I will put all that information in the show notes so people can have, and the transcript, so they can have a read of what you've said, as well as all the links that are important and that you've mentioned throughout. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we go?
No, there isn't, Annette, but I love your show and I love what you're doing. I think it's wonderful and it's connecting people. One thing that I would like to share with you, maybe to finish up, is that last night when I was going back over our trip, I had done an Instagram page, like most of us do, to share with family and friends. And I did say to my husband, all the times that you say, get off that thing, you're always on it, just the memories that it brings up. But we have so many photos that sometimes we get home and we don't know where to start. And Annette, I'm probably closer to your era, where I love looking at the albums of when I was a child and my family holidays at the Big Pineapple and all these beautiful places that I visited as a family. And our kids won't have that opportunity anymore because everything is in the cloud and it's all on Instagram. So one thing I made a conscious decision was doing is, at the end of every month, I would Dropbox the photos from my Instagram onto, I think I use posty.com then, there'll be lots of other apps or websites, and I had them printed. And when I got home, I actually had, in chronological order, all of the photos from the trip. And I had this beautiful, off Etsy, I had this beautiful photo album made, which was called Fam of Four in a Van. And it was inscribed into the front cover, and it was in the Instagram square size pages. And I put all of the photos in, and I have that on our coffee table now with all of our photos. So it didn't become that massive burden at the end of how now am I going to collate all these memories. And our kids can pick up that. And friends come around the other day, actually, and they were doing a similar thing. So we got out the album and went, oh, we went to that place, and oh, there was Daily Waters, there was the pub, and there was El Questro, and all those places that we all visit. So that could be a little tip for people thinking, how are they going to manage that? Try and just bite it off in smaller chunks and send the photos home to yourself. And when you get home, the nice surprise is already there waiting. Because by the 7th or 8th or 10th month, you've actually forgotten the first month. You've covered so much ground.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's a great tip. Thank you very much for that. And thank you for joining me today. It's been great chatting with you.
Wonderful, Annette. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been lovely.
Thanks for tuning in to Big Lap Chats. We hope today's episode helped you take another step towards planning your lap of Australia. And if you're already on the road, we hope you picked up some great tips on where to stay and what to see and do along the way. If you found it helpful, we'd love your feedback. Head over to allaroundoz.com.au/podcast, where you can also download the show notes and find more resources to help with your journey. We'll be back next week with more tips and stories about caravanning, camping, and planning your lap of Australia. Until then, happy travels.